17 to 14. Cowboys out in front. Starr begins the count. Takes the snap.
Bit of a risk. Pass is picked off. Vermont Williams, and he may go. They tried to bite off more yardage, and they just got burned. On 3rd down and 5, pressure. Pass is picked off, and who is it? Big B.J. Raji for the touchdown. Pump fake. Wallace picked off. Nick Collins. Nick Collins on the return inside the 10. Leaps for the touchdown.
Takes the snap. He's got the quarterback sneaking. The Green Bay Packers are going to be
All right, what's up, gang? Welcome into Packers Total Access Postgame Show. My name's Clayton. You can check us out at packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you'd like to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. I'm joined here with a room full of heroes. We got Jacob from the Packernet Fantasy Podcast, and we got Mr. Pack Daddy himself, Ryan Schlip. Well, this was an interesting one, right, guys? I mean, did anybody else do any screaming during this game? I need to know.
A lot of screaming, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm not alone there. Great. But great win. For those of you listening on the pod, obviously you're checking this out on Monday morning. The Packers come away with a 31-28 overtime victory over the Cowboys. And we said it all week. We heard people talking about it all week. Of course, the Packers, we wouldn't be surprised if they come out and beat the Cowboys, right? And in the game of the week after dropping one to the line. So here we are. Man, there was a lot of things going into this game that you could kind of key in on. You know, I said before the game there was 5 things that I really wanted to watch for. It was 1, Christian Watson; 2, Zach Tom, who actually did not play; 3, Devontae Wyatt; 4, Isaiah McDuffie; and 5, Kingsley Enagbare. And, you know, I didn't put Christian Watson number 1 saying, yeah, he's going to have a breakout game. It's just the first one that come to mind. But, I mean, we gotta start with that, right, guys? And it was the one thing that blew up here tonight as they defeat the Dallas Cowboys. So, Ryan, man, you and I, we've talked about Christian Watson a lot. I know you've pointed out time and time again that when he's on the field, whether it's jet motion or just stretching the field vertically, this offense looks different. And it's been one of those seasons where he's battled injuries and, had the concussion and whatnot. But what did you think, man? First takeaway, Christian Watson, breakout game here with 3 receiving touchdowns.
My biggest fear after he had those first 2 drops is they're done. My son was here, and he is the biggest Christian Watson fan in the world, and he kept yelling, why aren't they throwing to Watson? I said he dropped it twice. He might not see another pass the rest of the day. And luckily, they stuck with it. They kept going to him, and holy cow. I mean, you can summarize how we won this game with 2 guys, Rudy Ford and Christian Watson. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I mean, that's how you end up beating the Dallas Cowboys by 3 points right there.
Absolutely. What about you, Jacob? What did you think, man?
100%. Ryan just took the exactly. You got 2 guys that just absolutely showed out. Rudy Ford, Christian Watson, and another shout out to Mama Watson. I was wrong. Homie is a player. That guy's got he's glitz and glamour. He's he's the cat's meow. That's it. That's what I'm saying, man. He is. Although I will say that they did show a preview that showed that when he missed one of the first initial balls, his pinky. If he did not have a dislocated pinky, that guy is what's the word? A freak. I don't know how that works because the pinky was to the there. That doesn't work. That's not how that works. I'm not a doctor. But I know that you're not supposed to have this go to there. So for those of you listening on podcasts, it's a freakish kind of injury that should not have happened. So therefore, I was wrong. I'll admit happily at the beginning of this game, I was calling everybody, I was put them to the gallows, throw them up there, put them up, chop them down. And I'm just saying it was so unbelievably great to watch Christian Watson come to fruition. And you could see that the fact that the guy – we all knew that he had the ability. The guy is 6'1,000. He weighs nothing. He runs a 4.27, right? He's a freak of nature. All he has to do is catch the ball, which is a big deal as a wide receiver. You know, that's kind of like the big deal about that. And now he's doing it. And you could see once he gets that first catch, once he gets that first glimmer of hope, that first glimmer of confidence, and now you see what we can do. And I think Rodgers can see what he can do. And I will say one thing, one harsh criticism of Rodgers, the first ball that we threw to Watson, I say we like as if we're on the team together, but when Rodgers threw it to him, he dropped it and he did that signature Rodgers look at the sidelines like, told you. And I did not like that. That's when I first sent my first text in the group message and I said, here he goes again. Here he goes again. Rodgers looking at the sideline as if he doesn't like the people he's touching, you know. Anyway, so
it's amazing though how we look at things different, because I seen the side eye. And the side eye for me
what
was,
did you see?
It was there. Like he was telling the floor, like,
meaning, let's go
there.
again.
Like, it's a good thing. Like it was there. That's the way
let's try it again kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which maybe, they clearly did.
But again, I don't want to spend another second of a podcast trying to break down body language, to be honest with you. And
that would be nice.
There's plenty of those, what do you call it? I don't know. I don't even know what the right word is. You go to Twitter, you'll find plenty of body language seminars in the Packers Twitter right now. I promise you that. You can get all the training you want there. But
you don't like social media psychologists?
Absolutely.
I will say, too, though, if we're going to talk body language, the end of the game, there's no discussion about how that body language was at the end of the game with Rodgers and everybody else, how excited everybody was. And it just felt good to see it because, I mean, nobody likes seeing ticked off Rodgers and Rodgers screaming at LaFleur and all that stuff, but seeing how excited he and everybody else was, it just felt good. It was like chicken soup for the soul. It just made you feel good.
on a cold Wisconsin morning.
Yes, I'm sorry, but that is 100%. Ryan is true. That body language, we've talked about it in the negative way. When he just does the Mario, we're winning, bro. Just do
it. Gets everybody else jacked up too.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's go to the chat here real quick. Let's run through the chat real quick. We got Goose, one hell of a game. How about them boys? Watson a stud. And then we got also here in the chat, Daniel says all the screams. Thomas Austin said I did, talking about screaming. Goose going to try to check us right off the bat. Still to tear it down a little in the offseason. We got a go, Pat, go from Thomas Austin. Goose said lots of screaming, all the screaming. All right, cool. So with that being said, the other guy that I mentioned in the tweet was kind of an honorable mention if he played, and that's why I didn't put him on that list of 5, was Rudy Ford, because we didn't know what angle they would take. And you know, it's easy to look at someone who plays part-time and you see a high PFF grade and you see flashes and go, man, we need to just put him in there. But it's another thing when the coaches are seeing him in practice all week long. And, you know, there's a lot of things that us armchair quarterbacks don't see, obviously, that go into putting together a game plan, much less creating a starting lineup. But with that being said, I mean, it was true. They put Savage down into the slot for the most part, right, playing nickel, put Rudy Ford in at safety. Rudy obviously gets 2 interceptions. Was that on back-to-back drives, Ryan? Am I remembering correctly?
It was very close together if it wasn't back-to-back, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a thing of beauty.
There was a goal line interception and then like a third down interception kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rudy's a beast.
Yeah, Rudy Ford, back-to-back interceptions, absolutely awesome there. You know, early in the game kind of kept them in it. Let's talk a little negative here. Amari Rodgers, man, you know, I don't know how you continue to march him out there.
I don't know what it's going to take.
Obviously, they pulled him. And Ryan, did your anxiety level go down tremendously like mine when we seen Keyshawn Nixon back there? Even him trying to catch it like a receiver. Yeah, I still felt better than Amari.
No, I agree. I mean, people got mad at me when I said like he did a good job. Like, oh, that was stupid. He shouldn't have caught it. Like okay, granted, but just the fact that he did it just builds the confidence that, hey, this isn't Amari, right? This is a different guy. He catches the ball and he actually gets yards after the catch. Now, it's not to say he won't drop one eventually, especially if he's doing that, but that was more or less my point. Like, it's just he provides that level of comfort that Amari never did.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Jacob? Are we moving with Keyshawn?
Ryan, were you just talking about Nixon? Is that what you said over Rodgers? Okay, yeah. Because Nixon, when he catches the ball, he literally, like, he caught it kind of like it was just a thing he does. And he was like, and then he started faking it with the ball fake. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, just, but then he ran for like 20 yards. And I'm like, all right, Nixon's got it. Like, and he he's the polar opposite of what Amari looks at that ball coming at him. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Well, you can feel the anxiety. Like, that's what makes you so nervous as the ball's coming. Like, oh, he's so not confident right now. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's, I just don't understand how so when I'm in the chat and I'm saying like LaFleur needs to do this, or I think that, you know, my criticisms that are seemingly kind of like, I don't know what the word is, with the you know, the current motion, the in vogue kind of thing. I don't want to fire the coach. I don't want to fire LaFleur. I just want them to tighten up, and I want them to kind of put people out there that are doing the things that we've seen them like. This is what I'm crazy about, is we've seen what people can do and what they can't do, and we don't make adjustments. And I don't understand that. And
yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, guys. So
Goose said one negative note, Savage, and I
exactly.
He popped up on my sheet all night long. Now he did have one or two good plays. I do think he played better from that nickel spot, from the star position for sure. But yeah, he is what he is. You know, you can't trust him in coverage or in space trying to make a tackle. But when he's the one being the aggressor, he seems to be kind of in his element. Do you agree with that, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, when the game started, I thought we had a real nice setup. He was looking great in the slot, and Rudy at safety. I was like, man, we've got a real good group here. And then as the game went on, started giving up a couple passes, and the tackling's just bad. I mean, we've always known that about Savage. He's not a big dude. He's not very physical. You always need that second guy to come in and help him clean up, because he's just going to get dragged like that little kid on your ankle, just dragging him down the field. So it gets a little – I mean, I still like Savage, and I'd like to give him a little bit more time to see if he can kind of blossom and learn that position a little bit, because I think maybe there's something there in coverage. But and I do like that they blitzed him out of that position. I think that could be, with his speed, a real nice little twist to put in there. But, yeah, it did start to break down a little bit as the game went on for sure.
Absolutely. We were talking off air here. We were trying to comb through and see who the offensive linemen were, and we confirmed that I don't know if anybody went in or out of the game, but to the best of my knowledge, it was Bakhtiari left tackle, Elton Jenkins left guard, Myers at center, Runyon at right guard, and Yash at right tackle. And I don't know, man. I know that Rodgers took a couple sacks, one of which I felt like he held him the ball too long. You know, just was trying to let things develop a little too much. Another one he tried to scramble on and got caught going out. I think that was the fumble. But other than those two sacks, man, it felt like we had a pretty clean pocket. It really did. And when you come away scoring 31 points and your quarterback is averaging 11.2 yards per clip, I mean, and only 224 yards, you're talking about timely passing. You're talking about play action passes that were just opening everything up. He was 14 of 20, 224. Like I said, averaged 11.2. Had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked twice for 16 yards, negative, of course, and then had a quarterback rating of 146.7. I told Jacob there offline, Ryan, that I noticed a couple throws that got away from Rodgers for sure. The one that was behind Sammy, and then there was a sideline pass to Lazard. You could tell just really got away from him. Me being a Rodgers apologist, I immediately thought that looks like the thumb, on that throw, because he wasn't like, I don't know what happened. You could just kind of tell like he was disappointed. But overall, what did you think of Rodgers' performance tonight?
I thought it was, like I said on Twitter, this was by far his best performance. I don't care what his quarterback coach says of the year. I mean, partly just it was his energy. I mean, he was timely. The decisions, everything was great, but also just his energy, the way he was treating people. And I was a little iffy in the beginning, but going up to Christian and just not giving up on him, like we talked about early on. He could have just said, screw this guy, and we lose the game. We would have lost if he would have gotten away from it. But, the thing that I really like about it, and he had a good game, 14, 224, 146.7 passer rating. And I hate to even say this, but a week or two ago I said, I wish our offense operated a little bit more like the Bears offense. They run. And then they pick you apart with the pass because stuff's wide open because you're killing it with the run. We ran the ball 37 times and completed 14 passes.
39.
Well, yeah, that I wasn't counting the Aaron Rodgers, but you're right. 39.
How dare you?
but no, I just, and that's what we've been saying all year. Run the freaking ball, and then and with Christian Watson's speed over the top, I mean that's the perfect formula, and I think we need to stick with that the rest of the year. That's it. Run the ball, and if they try to close in on you, you can't do that. We got Watson over the top.
Yeah, and I got up early this morning and started watching some tape, and I went through and watched Seattle, Miami, Cincinnati,
We heard you sent us the chats.
I went through and watched all of their opening series, the scripted plays, right, for those offenses that are just tearing it apart right now. And I went and obviously looked at Green Bay's, and Green Bay had that long drive there against Detroit, right? And I was expecting to see less of what I actually saw. I seen a lot more under center, a lot more motion than I expected. I don't know if it's been like that, obviously through the entirety of the game. It could have changed. I didn't go through and chart everything. But you kind of seen it tonight, man. You've seen a lot of play fake, a lot of this is what the LA Rams did really, really well last year, running a lot of 11 personnel and a lot of play fake. And it really came together tonight. And it's easy to kind of look at it tonight, like you were saying too, Ryan. Aaron Jones averaging 5.8 yards a carry, 24 carries for 138 yards and a tud. A.J. Dillon, 13 carries, 65 yards, averaging 5 yards a pop. Last week, neither of those guys cracked the 3 yard per average, so it was one of those things that they got it going tonight. They stuck with it. A couple of times they ran that little toss play on the edge, and I cringed because it was just like, man, that play is either going to get you 8 or lose you 4. There's never anything in between. But yeah, so with that being said, let's do this. I'm going to share the screen real quick because I want to play something. I thought this was really cool. We actually got Christian Watson posted a video right there on the field on Twitter. Let's check it out real quick, see what he had to say here. If I can get it to pull up. All right, here we go.
The Packers are coming back, and it's a long season. It's a long season. We're doing things right this way. Let's go. Go, Pack, go.
Love it. Love it. And then he's at the podium. We'll hold off on the podium, but check this out. Jair. Here's Jair. Jair kind of spoke up this week. I'm sure you guys seen it. Said, I told guys, if I see somebody laughing in the locker room, I'm like, why are you laughing? We're losing, right? He kind of went after the guys, but here he is with Mason.
Yeah. We here with Mason. Game winner, baby. We out here, baby. Put the seatbelt on. Good. We here with Mason.
And then this one right here is my favorite, though. This is my favorite.
I love it.
After this is to the
Look at Rodgers.
Automatic. First down.
Well, this game is everything.
I love it. And I wanted to mention that with Rodgers because that was right after the block, right? Did you guys see?
He threw.
Did you see
I'm
that
sorry,
block
but-
line?
Oh yeah,
I'm being sarcastic because he's flexing and everybody's like, yeah, he's fired up. And I'm like, they made it sound as if he took the guy out of his cleats, and I was cracking up.
Well, no, yeah, obviously he got hit. I mean, he's done that a couple times. He connected a little bit better on this one. Remember the one with Zadarius?
The other one,
He kind of did a little something.
Leveled.
He got killed by Zadarius. This one at least slowed the guy down a little bit. But.
Absolutely. Well, let's do this. Let's kind of let's hop over. Let's go to the receiving room. Christian Watson, 4 catches, 107 yards, averaged 26.8 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns.
That's amazing.
Now, the crazy thing that we really got to put into perspective, and as much as I don't want to do it, we got to kind of curb the enthusiasm a bit. There were 8 targets and only 4 grabs, right? I mean, that's not necessarily what you want to see, but, man, you talk about a home run threat, and then to see him on that crosser make that hands catch on, and granted, he was wide open, but seeing him run that crossing route, just like the announcer said, I think it was I can't remember his name now, Greg Olson, right? Was like, you're not going to run strive for strive with that guy. So even on the crossers, just seeing him be able to separate, and like you pointed out, Ryan, the play action opening that up. Sammy Watkins, 3 catches for 47 yards. He was targeted 3 times, made 3 catches. That's a good sign. Alan Lazard, 4 targets, had 3 catches for 45 yards. Aaron Jones, 2 catches for 18 yards. And, Tunyon, 1 target, 1 catch for 8 yards. The cool thing about Lazard's catch there at the end, it was an RPO, and you could just see that they were setting that up all night long, just pounding the rock. And it's kind of, to me, it's come to light that when you look back now and see how Rodgers tried to force those RPOs in last week inside the red zone, it wasn't there. Tonight it was there. And, man, those guys completely bit on the run action with the RPO, and you could just see Rodgers was fired up about that completion. So I'm not a huge fan of the RPO game. Tonight, though, man, you set it up with a running game like that, it's game on. But isn't it amazing that we were missing Romeo Doubs, and then we come out in this game and the offense blows up. And it's no knock against Romeo Doubs. He's played good for a rookie, obviously. But could you imagine if both of those guys were out there? Do you think it would be the same result, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But what did you think about the receiving room, Ryan?
Well, I mean, As far as the Christian Watson thing, the drops don't bother me as much just because it's a lot. I mean, it's ugly, but it's correctable. Like the play where he missed it because like the announcer said he's looking back instead of up, right? Lesson learned. He could have had 4 touchdowns in this game if he'd have probably just been looking in the right direction. The other hilarious thing about that play in particular is he slowed down. And then when he saw the ball, he sped up and he had like 3 yards separation from the guy. Like just like that, he got away from him. The back shoulder throw was ugly, but that's you got to work on that. He didn't know he ran like 5 yards too far down the field or whatever before he turned around. He wasn't where he was supposed to be. He'll figure that stuff out. But it's like somebody else was saying after I posted my Christian Watson thing. He comes out and he's like, yeah, but he's only going to catch 25% of his passes. I'm like, all right, throw to him 10 times, and he catches 4 of them for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cry about it. Like, seriously, what are you going to cry about that? And the funny thing is, right after that, he catches another touchdown. So, no, Sammy had a good day. I mean, we've been riding Sammy. He had some really good catches. The one that got away from Rodgers, he came back and caught that. The back shoulder for a first down, that was really impressive. So, I mean, Sammy's a talented guy. I just think his head is kind of he's kind of in the clouds a little bit, but we know the guy has got some skill. And Lazard didn't have a big day, but he came up clutch when it counted. So, and that's what we need. That's when the Packers are good, there's always that kind of stuff. You got your superstar, which in this case was Christian. And then you got guys like Sammy and Lazard just getting those clutch catches when you need them.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake here in the chat says Rudy Ford priced himself out of staying in Green Bay tonight? ? It's a great point. That's what I was saying a couple of weeks ago is like you've seen enough on special teams and with his aggressiveness when he is in the lineup, man, why don't we lock him up before his stock rises anymore? And when I say lock him up, a 2-3 year deal, throwing some guaranteed money, going to be minimal cap hit, and you could probably give him a little bit of security. The last I heard, I believe it was $50,000 was his guaranteed money this year or part of his last contract with Jacksonville. So any little bit of guaranteed money probably lock him up. But I don't know, man. I could also see Rudy Ford being one of those guys, Ryan. I mean, obviously I'm the president of the Rudy Ford fan club. I could also see him be one of those guys that he has this breakout and then we look up in 3 or 4 games and be like, oh yeah, you remember Rudy Ford? He ended up getting cut and nobody claimed him. You know what I mean? Be one of those. It wouldn't surprise me. But let's see here. Let's go on down here. Here's a good comment from Goose. Says second negative, defense versus draw plays. My God. Jacob, did you see those draw plays, bro?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that kind of gives me a reminiscence of a flashback to I don't understand that call. I'll never understand that call. This is another game of the Packers doing things that we just know that they shouldn't do, but we just see them reoccurrently doing things like the penalties, all that kind of stuff. I just, it's a good win, but on top of that, it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to see us reoccurring the same kind of stuff over and over again. And I don't know, man.
I got you. Well, we got 12 at the podium. Let's go to 12 real quick. See what he's got to say here.
There, what the mindset was, I get run the ball on first down, but not second and not third. Not the third down call. So I want to be aggressive and let's go get them. They're playing a lot of one high man. That's
perfect time.
And let's complete a couple passes and we're gonna go win the game. Put it away. We have 2 timeouts. Yeah, I get it. They have 3 timeouts. We ran the ball first down, then called timeout.
We're talking about screaming at LaFleur, I think.
Let's waste 40.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get it down to around a minute and let's go. Let's go win the game. What was the debate? Who won?
There was not. I was sitting in between them. They weren't even arguing.
No, we were.
Look at him putting him on the spot.
Or Tuesday.
I love it, dude.
Better format.
I know. There you go. There's 12. I know I'm in the minority when I say I like Rodgers, but I just love how he puts the media on blast. Like, let's talk about that screaming session with Matt LaFleur. Do I want to see a starting quarterback screaming at his head coach on national TV? No. But you could read his lips, and it was. I actually had a buddy text me what he thought it was, and here we are back in the lip reading and body language business, right?
Compare it to my lip reading abilities.
The best that I came away with was, why the F did we run this S out? And basically meaning, why are we not being more aggressive there in the fourth quarter, right? It was in the fourth quarter when they just ran the ball, right? So I think that's kind of what he was saying there is like, why do we run the ball twice, not call a timeout, run the clock down, and essentially take ourselves out of the position to score there? And I agree with it, to be honest with you. It's just how he goes about doing it, obviously. That's something that I don't know. It's hard for me to put a lot of stock into that type of stuff because I've played sports. Guys, I work concrete and steel construction. You're good, Jacob. Do what you got to do, brother. I worked concrete and steel construction for about 6 years. People get upset. People scream. Like, it's a part of life. And for some reason, we try to pretend that because someone is a professional athlete, they're not allowed to express their emotions, or not even that they're not allowed to, but how dare he get upset in front of everybody. Dude, play sports with me, and you're going to really hate me because I am one of those vocal, like, big time. So that stuff doesn't bother me that much. But Thomas Austin in the chat says, another big note, the Packers came back. That's a good point, Ryan. We're always hearing about how they can't come from behind, right? So,
well, especially since they did kind of fall apart a little bit. You know, they had the Amari Rodgers thing. It was the second half. It's like you could feel it slipping away, and I think everybody just thought, oh, here we go again. But they found a way to kind of rally around a couple good plays and come back, and they haven't been able to do that all year.
Absolutely. Daniel in the chat says, if Ford does that of effort for the rest of the year, yes, one game, nay, talking about, as far as extending. I mean, it's true. It's just one game. I'm eager to see him back out there for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Goose talked about, how they stuck with the run. Absolutely. Daniel also said in the chat that those passes went straight to Rudy Ford. So Daniel's in there going, look, slow the roll on Rudy Ford, dude. Don't start chanting Rudy.
In general, he had a good day, and he's had a good year all year. I think and plus Savage is bad. So there's a lot of factors for why this is a good thing. But I do understand maybe we don't need to give him $40 million or anything like that. But no, he does deserve a lot of credit. He made some good plays, not just, tackling. That play where he came and blew somebody up, I think behind the line of scrimmage, he's coming from 15 yards deep. Second the ball is snapped, he beelines, takes a great angle. He had a good day.
I agree. I think I'm expecting his PFF grade to be one of the highest of the entire team for sure. Also in the chat, Thomas Austin says the Bears lost, the Packers won. I'm happy. It's always
Bears
a good
are fourth
thing.
in the division.
I seen your tweet, man. Tell everybody
Bears
what
Twitter
you
found it, so I got off there just in time. They're losing their minds right now. They're so mad.
Andrew in the chat says this was flipping awesome. Feels good. Good to hear you guys after a win. Absolutely, man. Next chat here, we've got Corey. Appreciate you tuning in, Corey. The minute Jair got beat deep, Barry went into his prevent quarters shell. That is still a massive negative schematically. Good point there for sure. And then Thomas Austin says, one thing I don't want to see is the players happy that they don't have to work tomorrow. Amen to that, dude.
Yeah,
I don't hear
exactly.
they shouldn't have to go in tomorrow. My God, that drove me crazy. Let's do this. Let's hop over to the defensive side of the ball and talk about it. Fourth on my list that I tweeted out today pregame was Isaiah McDuffie, because he showed some flashes. He's been our best special teams player all year. He's a guy that last week I felt like he kind of flashed. Isaiah McDuffie today, guys, 13 tackles, 8 solo. And he was in my notes everywhere. I mean, all over the place. It just seemed like he was always around the ball, always making stops, always playing smart. He's definitely somebody who flashed to me. Now, why do I bring up Isaiah McDuffie? Obviously, Devondre Campbell injured right now. He's going to have to play somewhat of a role. But when Devondre comes back, I'm kind of looking at Quay like, okay, look, if he's not ready to play at this level, I'm okay with him rotating with Isaiah McDuffie. But overall, from the inside linebackers tonight, Ryan, what did you think, man? Obviously, McDuffie, 13 tackles. Quay Walker had 8, and he had a tackle for a loss and a pass defended, which I did have him in the notes there. I felt like Quay had a good night as well. Do you agree with that?
I loved McDuffie stood out to me just because the energy from the defense seemed really, really solid, and he was one of those guys. I mean, it didn't feel like a team that had a bunch of backups because of injuries. I mean, McDuffie looked like he'd been out there all year. He played with intensity. He played with fire. I didn't notice anything. If there was anything catastrophic that he did wrong, I didn't pick up on it. I saw he was right where he needed to be, making tackles and flying around the field. So the entire team's energy, which I keep coming back to, was the thing that I really liked about the team. And they just for the first time, I think this year played like a football team. They played fast. They played physical. And again, it's just surprising because we lost Rashawn. We lost our corner. We lost all these guys. So many backups coming in. And honestly, I don't know that that's a bad thing. I think there's a part of it that's, a lot of young guys getting their first start, like Rudy Ford, who are trying to win a spot on the team, and McDuffie trying to win. I think maybe that invigorates some things, guys that know that they're not going to get very many shots. I think it added to the whole thing. But no, I thought he and Quay and you can go down the list. I'm probably going to say the exact same thing. They all had really good days today.
Absolutely, I agree, man. Jake in the chat here. Jake is the host of the Packernet podcast, Always Draft Season podcast. Excellent pod. I'm sure you guys, if you're hanging out with us, you've heard it. If not, and you're just tuning in on Twitter or on my YouTube channel, make sure that you check out as a part of the Packernet podcast network, Always Draft Season by Jake. But Jake in the chat says this wide receiver room with Quentin Johnston is going to be nuts in 2023 with the eye emoji there. So he's already starting the Quentin Johnston campaign there. And we were kind of talking about that in the chat. Me and Goose were going back and forth earlier today, just talking about, you need to add a wide receiver one, right? You really need to. Now, could Christian Watson become that? Absolutely. If he plays like he did today, taking the top off and just, get the drops taken care of and all that stuff, the mental error there on the back shoulder throw. When you see the back shoulder throw to Sammy, it's obvious he and Aaron are on the same page tonight. They weren't last week. And then he was expecting Christian to look for that back shoulder throw there tonight. Aaron was. But when it comes to a wide receiver one, Ryan, we were trying to talk in the chat, and I want to hear your take here too, Jacob. Like, how do you approach that this offseason? Because what I'm fully expecting with some restructuring and things, the Packers are probably going to have about $15 million to play with in free agency this year. That's kind of the number that I feel like is a pretty safe number once everything is taken care of. And that's if Rodgers comes back and Bach comes back, right? How do you think we handle it, man? Do you go out and try to draft another receiver and hope you hit on like a Justin Jefferson type, or is it something you would rather get a veteran, although the market's kind of inflated right now with wide receiver pay?
The problem I have is I have so many questions about this team right now. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just watching the game we just watched, if this is the team, like this is it. Like before was a fluke, all that was messed up. Now we're on track. This is it. And it's going to be this year and next year. Yeah, go get me that. I haven't watched Quentin. I'm a failure when it comes to draft prospects, but I need to do that. But get me that primo wide receiver to pair with this group. I'll take it. Yeah, we need a safety. We maybe need an edge or whatever. I'm okay with it. Again, it depends though. If this was a fluke and we go on to continue down this bad path, then do we want to go with an all-in pick like a wide receiver? No. If we end up going on a run here, yeah, let's. I guess we'll just keep pushing in. Go get that wide receiver. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And in the chat here, Thomas Austin says nothing like seeing big Mike McCarthy spiking a headset.
Awesome. Did you see that?
That was awesome.
Did y'all see
that?
I
love Mike McCarthy. You guys know
Yeah.
I've got a huge man crush on McCarthy. He's my guy. But it was somewhat it was fulfilling to see him spike that headset and get so upset, because it was like, all right, yeah, you walked in with the Lombardi tan overcoat, and I appreciate.
Well, he came in early, and he was on the field, kind of, which
absolutely.
I thought was actually great. Just him taking in the sights, kind of,
because he will be in that Packers Hall of Fame. It's a done deal
sure.
when he hangs
he
it up.
has to be, right?
And
and
it was just cool to see him come in, and they honored him on the scoreboard. He and his coaching staff, the players, Rob Davis and the guys that used to play here. And then when it's time to strap it up, the whistle blows, go thump their head, and that's what happened. I love it. In the chat here, this is a good point. We're talking receivers just now. Goose said Lazard is best from the slot. Lazard to me does seem like that. He seems like that guy that could be that what they called a bully slot, a slot bully. When they drafted Equinemius St. Brown back in the day, that was their goal, was to have him play that bully slot position. And it seems like, most teams, you want your DJ Moores, you want your Randall Cobb type builds, your Amari Rodgers type build to play slot. But when you got that bully slot and you could crack down for the run, it plays a big, big role. But I think we're all pretty comfortable in saying that Lazard's probably not going to be back next year. Do you agree with that, guys?
Yeah.
Again, a lot of questions, but yeah, probably. It depends. Again, so many factors. How much money does he want? How much money is the market?
Yeah, I would say that.
I wouldn't have thought
If he wants
MVS
more
was going to
than-
get. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought MVS was getting 10 million. So who knows? Maybe there's a team out there that wants him for a bunch of money. In which case, no. But maybe he doesn't want doesn't earn a bunch of money, and he ends up staying. I don't know. A lot of questions to answer still.
Right. Yeah.
If he wants 10 million, sorry, buddy, love you, but see ya.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let him go test the market. If we get a huge discount, he already knows the system. It would be very, very valuable. But yeah, Corey in the chat said, to add to my comment, cover 0, 3rd and 6, and we play 12 off. The ball always will come out quick there. You know, that one play there, I think it was late in the 4th quarter. It might have actually been in overtime. I believe it was late in the 4th quarter where Jair Alexander gave up a completion there on the sideline. He was playing so soft on a 3rd down. Like, I don't put that on Joe Barry. You know, I have a hard time believing Joe Barry designed a play and said, all right, guys, here's the deal. 3rd and long, okay? Or 3rd and 8, whatever. I want you to play just far enough off the ball and don't attack the ball and allow them to first down. Like, to me, that was Jair being too safe. I put that on the player personally. But what did you guys think about that in key situations? You know, 3rd and 6 in this play specifically, cover 0, and them playing that far off the ball. What do you think, Ryan? Is that something schematically? Is it more on the players? How do you see it?
I hadn't really thought about that in terms of their freedom to kind of do those things, or possibly just making a mistake. But one way or another, there's a serious problem there, because I've seen several people mention it, that there is no play call, or at least should be no play call that involves we're going to blitz and play off. It doesn't make any sense. If you blitz, the ball comes out quickly. You have to be on them. It doesn't. Right. I mean, it's they have to work in that way. So, and that keeps happening. So I don't know if it's a miscommunication or what it is. I don't know how much leeway or leverage players have to decide how close or off you want to play. I never even considered that. So I don't know exactly where the breakdown is. But if Joe Barry's doing it, it's inexcusable. If the players are doing it, then it's like everything else. You guys got to figure this stuff out. Too many mental mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas Austin in the chat said the Cowboys are now 195-1 after being up 14 points or more at halftime. I need to know if that's legit or not.
I don't believe that. Yeah. I don't believe that.
You can't trust anything that comes out of Thomas Austin's mouth.
I can find it. Yeah, I'll look it up, but I know he's lying. I was going to look it up, and then you said Thomas Austin, and I'm like, oh, he's
All right. Mike Lane says bench Rodgers and put Love in the rest of the season. And then he puts LOL, of course. So, and it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that always gets kind of mentioned. And I looked at the standings here, Ryan, and just to kind of go to it, in the NFC right now, you got Eagles, Vikings, Giants, Cowboys, Seahawks, Buccaneers. Those are your top 6. Obviously, a 7th team is going to get in. And in that 7th spot right now, the 49ers have 4 wins, the Commanders have 4 wins, the Packers have 4 wins, the Falcons have 4 wins, the Cardinals have 4 wins. Now, I want you to think about how the team played tonight. Think about how they played in Buffalo. They really competed with Buffalo. And, of course, Buffalo loses to Minnesota tonight. And, of course, we lost to Minnesota earlier in the year. But think about these teams that I'm going to rattle off and tell me if you think the Packers are better than them or not. Are we better than the Arizona Cardinals? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Are we better than the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Are we better than the Commanders? That's a tough one, right?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And are we better than the 49ers? That's the one no for me.
That's tough, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, the LA Rams only have 3 wins. Jacob, you can thank me later, because that game we're going to is looking like we've got a good shot to win that ball game. That might be a good time. You never know.
So, are you feeling good about that? Because my dad called me today, and I had a horrible day today, guys. I'm not going to get into it. Let's just say, if you had a bad day, times it by 2. That was my day, and I'm not even kidding. It was just one of those poop days. But
poop
my
day.
Dad called me. And he's like, hey, man, you'd have a poop day. He's like, yeah, but also you have to go to that Packers-Rams game that you paid like $500 for. And I was like, thanks, Pops. That's a great – thanks, man. Good on you. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have probably rubbed that in. But now I'm thinking, after tonight's win, hey, maybe we got a chance. Maybe this is a great night. Maybe this is still a great night where me and Clayton, Justin, Tony, Pat, Paul, we can all get together and we can just have a couple, brewskis, maybe just talk about, what we think about the Packers, either current, present, future Packer fandom, that kind of thing. It'd be a great opportunity. We spent a lot of money, me and Clayton did, so I'm hoping that the Rams and the Packers game is a real good matchup. Because if not,
I think it'll be. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a good game for the Packers because I think there will still be playoff implications if they continue to play like they are.
I hope so, man. I really hope so.
Because we're looking at it right now as we're recording this. For those of you listening on the pod on Monday, it's in the second quarter, but the Chargers are beating the 49ers 10-3 as we speak. So. We need the Chargers to win that game to kind of keep us in the hunt there. Obviously, the 49ers, if they somehow win, then they're going to be at the 5-win mark at that point. So, Ryan, back to the question, what the chat said there, about starting Aaron Rodgers. What's your take on it right now, man? Are you want to keep Rodgers in? At what point do you think, is it when you're eliminated from the playoffs, so you start thinking, okay, maybe we need to get Jordan Love some looks, or how do you feel about it now after this win against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, with everything being, I was just playing with it. I've got this playoff predictor thing up. I don't think we can get into the playoffs this week or next week, but we're not far out. Mm-hmm. We're just a couple games. It just comes down to was this game legit or not, right?
Right.
If it was, then of course you keep going, you keep trying, and then this is just the path we're on. I don't know what the heck. I mean, the problem with that is I'm super ticked off about this entire season up to this point.
Right.
Like apparently there's no issues. They just didn't feel like playing this entire time, which super pisses me off. But whatever. Here we are. Suddenly, oh no, we are actually a good team. We forgot. So we continue on this path. Yeah, there's no point in being like, hey man, we got a shot. We're playing real good. By the way, gonna switch it up a little bit. Jordan Love's gonna take over. But yeah, I mean, if this is a fluke, then once you're eliminated, you got to have the conversation. I think there's potentially some issues that are going to arise. Rodgers isn't going to like that very much. So I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't think they will do it. But if you're asking me what I would do, I would. As soon as we're eliminated, it's time to make a change. Just because, what's the point? We don't even if you don't think Love is going to be the guy and you think Aaron's going to continue, do it just to preserve him. Why risk injury? It doesn't even make sense. So that would be my thought.
Gotcha. It's funny, you were kind of walking through your emotions just now, and I went down to grab a cup of coffee before we went live here. And the first thing I thought, man, as soon as the coffee started dripping in the cup, I went, how did we lose to the Lions? If we had just beat the Lions, this would be totally different. But again, how did we lose to the Lions? 3 interceptions. That's how we lost to the Lions, period. So in the chat here, we've got Professor Cakes. Man, that name always makes me giggle. I don't know what. But, oh, baby. I'm so happy. That's all I can muster right now, laughing emoji. Yeah, well, kind of feel you there, Professor Cakes. Thomas Austin said, I'm going to have to go back and see what the stat line was. The moment they showed they were 195-0 with a stat, I knew they were going to lose that. So evidently there was a stat mentioned. Is he still BSing me, Ryan?
All right. Let me look. What was it? If you're up 14 points at the half, is that what it was?
I don't remember what he said. It was something stupid.
Yeah, it says the Cowboys are now 195 wins and 1 loss after being up 14 points or more at halftime.
Nah,
it'll take me a minute. I'm gonna find it. I'll get it.
I'm having a hard time believing it too.
I'm just gonna call him nah.
Yeah, right here, Professor Cake said Quay Walker had a clutch pass deflection, and I seen that too. It's right here in the notes. It was late in the game. He came over the top. It might have been on CeeDee Lamb and punched the ball out. But what did you think of our boy Quay tonight, Jacob? Did you feel like he played pretty well?
Dude, Quay played. Again, this is one of those games where, I've been a subject to being one of those little fanboys that, when you're halfway through the game, you start doom and gloom. I've been that guy. I started calling out Rodgers, started calling out these things. And then all of a sudden you start seeing what these guys are doing. Quay is very much developing into a very quality linebacker. You can't just expect him to jump in. Like we did. We expected him to jump in and be Devondre. And we expected him to just, because he's a first-round pick, all that kind of stuff. We're expecting him to be Micah Parsons. He's not. It's just nobody is other than Micah Parsons. You know what I'm saying? So giving a grain of salt, this guy is having a very, very good rookie season. He started a little shaky, and now he's improving to the point where, like, we're seeing him really take those big strides where we're saying, like, yeah, this is why this guy was a first-round draft pick, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the growing pains. The same way I just watched Christian Washington. We watched him have those growing pains clearly through the first half of the season, and now look at him. The guy is arguably going to win NFC Player of the Week this week, you know? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, for sure. Mike in the chat says 12 has no weapons. I can't wait for the national media talking heads to say this all week this week. I don't know, man. I got to be real, Mike. I feel like the national talking heads haven't said it in a while, and we won't say why, but I do remember 2-3 years ago that's all they talked about. But I haven't heard anybody defending Aaron other than Kurt Warner here lately. But what do you guys think?
I watched that, by the way. That was a great video.
It was a good breakdown for sure. And I just loved that how he pointed out, hey, look, Rodgers made mistakes too, but here's what he's frustrated. He's not saying it's okay to throw a temper tantrum. He's just saying, look, for the people
here's
who
what he saw.
Why is he acting like that? No, there's legitimate reasons. And I learned a lot from the video, just the little nuances of, like he was talking about, you want him to run through the defender's right number and things like that on certain routes. It was very I don't know. It was very good to see, but all right, cool. So Thomas Austin said, glad to see Dillon catching footballs again. Hey, A.J. Dillon had a good game tonight. He looked like the battering ram tonight. Y'all agree with that?
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, he's lying.
Thomas Austin, you fibber. Put a $10
that
in
took
the
me a long
jar,
time.
bro.
He's lying. He's full of
Unbelievable. All right, Thomas Austin in the chat says, all love for McCarthy. We agree. And then he also says, Bears, Brady, Belichick, boys, beats, battleship. That's the quote of the night right there. I love it.
Which bear is best?
Yeah.
Black
Bears eat beats. All right. So Bill Ryan says, when will they release Amari? Man, I honestly, guys, I'm going to be real. I feel sorry for Amari Rodgers.
I do too.
He cannot return punts, and they keep putting him back
Right.
there. It's like, stop doing that to the guy. And if you need to cut, I'm not saying that he's a third-round pick, they shouldn't cut him. No, I'm of the belief if somebody isn't helping the team and you might be able to upgrade it, getting a free agent off the street, cut the guy who's struggling, period.
So
I really believe that. But when it comes to Amari Rodgers, he is not a punt returner. I think they said, what did they say this year alone? 4 fumbles? Is that right?
Oh, yeah. 5. No, 5.
Is it 5 now?
5.
Unbelievable.
Is this possibly Ryan or Clayton, one of the guys that Rodgers has been calling out about apparently not doing this certain, finishing certain routes or doing certain plays or running the certain things in practices? Like, we've all been kind of scratching our heads being like, who is he talking about? Like, who could this possibly be? And we keep narrowing things. And is it possibly the guy that's dropped 5 freaking fumbles that has cost? I mean, that guy has literally cost us at least a game, if not multiple.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Corey in the chat says Rodgers looked good tonight. Best PFF grade of the year. And that's kind of what Ryan was talking about. Let's take a quick guess of Aaron Rodgers' PFF
91.
grade. 91 from Jacob. Let's write it down. This would be fun right here. 91 from Jacob. What do you think, Ryan? What's your guess for his PFF grade?
Oh, jeez. The deep shots, the touchdowns.
Calculator. See, he's going to nail this.
Yeah.
He's pretending like he's looking up as his hands are going.
I'm just refreshing PFF to see if they got it done early. Come on. I'm going to go wild card and say it's a grade that's going to really tick everybody off, like one of those kinds of things. I'm going to say it's like a 79.
79.
Okay.
It's a good grade, but it's still like everyone's like PFF is drunk and stupid and nobody should ever use it again.
And I kind of feel like he missed. I know he missed on 2 throws that I see.
I was going to say there was 2 obvious ones where it was like, that was
and
bad.
I think he took 1 sack that he shouldn't have taken. I think he'll get a negative grade there.
I said 2.
I'm going to say 83 is my guess. All right. So Jacob said 91. Ryan said 79.
Can I redo mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
96.
96.
Dang.
I want to go 96.
My man. All right.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. 86. 86.
Oh,
86.
my
I'm sorry.
goodness.
I'm sorry.
Give him no. He's got to stick with 96. Screw
No,
him.
no, I don't.
Love it.
So here,
Sorry.
I got a question that's maybe a little obvious, but I think it'd be fun. Who has the highest PFF grade on the team?
Let's see here. Based
Aaron
off
Jones.
of the first thing that comes to mind is Rudy Ford. I'm not saying that's my pick.
Oh, that's
But
a good one. Yeah.
he has had such a high PFF grade so far. It's obvious they are liking what they're seeing with him. You add in 2 interceptions. I don't remember him making a mistake.
Can I ask a question? So, did we just watch the transformation from from Savage to slot to Rudy Ford to safety? Because I feel like we just saw that happen. But
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. But what's crazy, what sucks is it would not have happened if Stokes was healthy, and we'd probably still be sitting here kicking and screaming.
gosh.
Well, and that's
Right.
the problem with the team is they're so stubborn and just doing. And you mentioned this, Clayton. They won't do the obvious thing until something catastrophic happens. We had to watch Amari fumble for the 5th time before they're like, oh, maybe. And that was the same thing with kick return. It was the same thing that he shouldn't have been doing that. And then he fumbled. They're like, all right, you're not doing that anymore, but you're still going to be punt returner. And then he fumbles that. Oh, okay. It's like, stop doing this.
I don't get it too because they get Nixon. Nixon grabs the ball like this. He's like, yeah, I got it. And he just starts doing this. And I'm like, how do you not see that guy's better at handling the ball?
When he snatched it and held it out like that and kind of went over the defender, I immediately thought Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Do you remember Deion back in the day?
Yep.
Like, oh my God, dude. And that's what I said to Ryan on Twitter. He's carrying that thing like a loaf of bread, man. Unbelievable.
Well, from the first time Nixon returned a kickoff, just the way he does it, the speed, the decisiveness, it's like that's the guy. I mean, there's no question. Why would you put Amari back out there? That's the dude for sure.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And
Oh,
Jake
goodness.
in the chat says 195-1 with a 14-point lead in the 4th quarter. Yes. Jake, I need one more chat message confirming that is legit, bro. Because Thomas Austin, as
Dallas
always,
Cowboys.
stop.
In
Thomas
Is that
Austin
real?
fires off 3,500 tweets and gets me thinking about 17 different things, and now he's in the chat and he's inside my head.
All right,
Constantly.
explain this one to me. The Cowboys were leading 21-6 against the Washington Redskins in 1984, and they lost 30-28. Is that not? What are we talking about here?
I'm from Kentucky, man. You can't ask me to deal with numbers. I'm just reading the
That's
chat.
just one example. I just pulled one out because they lost a bunch of these games. Explain that.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
21-6. Are they winning by more than 14?
Thomas Austin, this is why we can't have nice things. We had a decent show going, and now you've got us digging back through 30 years of history to try to find a. And
Why
Jake
is Jake
gassing.
piling on all of a sudden?
Everything I said
Shank's
about
in there
all
too.
these
Yeah, it's not
podcasts,
just
forget
Austin.
it, guys. Forget it. Everything I did to
Shank.
plug Jake's podcast, forget it. Jake, you're on my crap list now, dude. Bring
Oh,
it
in
back.
the 4th quarter,
Oh, in the 4th?
not at
Okay.
halftime.
Okay.
All right.
That's legit.
I'm not looking that up. We'll just call that good.
There you go. Good enough. All right, Jake. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right, Goose
After
in the
we
chat
just
says,
called out Jake and said, you suck.
You suck.
never
Don't ever
mind.
listen
Your
to his
question's
show.
very
He's an
valid.
idiot.
everybody listening to my voice, call into Packernet After Dark and bash Jake. Okay,
Oh,
that's the goal. All right,
Jake,
so
not Jacob. Jake, not Jacob.
Goose in the chat says, I'm still okay with seeing what Love has if we are eliminated, but at least we showed we want something tonight. And dude, I remember specifically in the 4th quarter thinking, I don't know, man, I still don't feel good about this game, but they came out and fought. And there's
They
a
came
lot of
out
stuff
fighting.
to come away with. You know, another one I want to mention, number 5 on my list that I tweeted out was Kingsley Enagbare. What did you guys think about him? Because he flashed to me. He had one quarterback hit multiple times, had his hands up in the quarterback's face, got good bull rush off the edge. He ended up with 5 tackles. The thing that surprised me the most about Kingsley is his ability to play the run. But, Ryan, what do you think about him stepping in for Rashawn Gary and even playing both sides? I seen where him and Preston swapped a couple times. What do you think about Kingsley Enagbare?
I think he didn't even bat the pass once on one of those interceptions. Not that it necessarily needed it, but I think he tipped the ball a little bit on one of those picks. But the thing that I like about him is his violence. You know, the run defense in general is part of it, but one of the plays that stood out to me is he was chasing somebody from behind and he hit him like a freaking truck. You know, some of these guys, even Rashawn, once in a while they grab him and they're trying,
Right.
and he just hit him so dead on. And every time I see him hit people, he's such a big physical guy. So, you know, I'm sure he's got a little bit of refining to do, but for a rookie to come in, play the run, impact the game as a pass rusher, I'm beyond happy with where he's. I mean, he's ahead of where Devontae Wyatt is. I hope he's okay. I don't mean to talk bad about Wyatt, but the fact that he's come in and impressed to this degree ahead of. I mean, he's probably possibly better than Quay, considering how he kind of had some bad stretches down there. So it's a lot for a rookie to come in. I mean, it's not even that I'm less impressed with those guys, more so than with him. I think the standard is you come in, you don't know what you're doing, you look kind of like garbage, but. I don't think there's been a single game where I've watched Kingsley and just thought this dude sucks, man. He's not going to be able to do it. He's just solid.
I agree, and I think he'll be one of those players that has a decent PFF grade tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. Now back to your question, Ryan. I think you actually asked who's going to have the highest PFF grade. For me, it would be Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones has got it. What would yours be, Jacob?
Well,
and you can say Aaron Jones too if that would be your pick.
no, I think it would. God.
Just think about it a minute, Ryan. What about you, man?
I know he had the drops, but I'm going with Watson. I just think the 107 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I don't know. We'll see how the grading system works. I know they're a little bit more about consistency, and he struggled there, but I think it's going to be hard to not at least get a really good grade, if not the highest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas Austin in the chat says, in my Madden season, the Packers are 9-1, and that has nothing to do with anything. It just felt like sharing. There you go.
If I had to guess, I would. If I had to put money out, I'd say Watson. But just because every time I think PFF is going to do something, I think they do the opposite. So I would guess it would be maybe one of our offensive linemen or Rodgers or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it felt like Bakhtiari is looking more and more like himself too. Like
I'd say even maybe Rudy Ford, maybe highest, because just the dude just seems like he's. I mean, it was just a fun game to watch. I'm so. I was so pleasantly surprised to watch this game and not. I mean, it sucked the whole game watching it, but the end fruition of it just gave me a. It was just a release of like just okay. It's okay for now. Like, you don't have to be super depressed because I don't know about you guys, but I'm one of those Packer fans where if we lose, don't talk to me till like Thursday. And I've realized like this lasts for like, I don't know, 2 months. I've been like, why am I such a grumpy curmudgeon? Why am I such an a-hole all the time? And it's like, because the Packers lost every single week. Like, it dictates my mood. And people are like, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk to someone? I'm like, no, I just need the Packers. I just need Rodgers to throw like a dime, And that's all I need.
Just like a Packers junkie. I just need one of those deep balls.
I just need one more hit,
you got one of those for me?
Yeah, one more. Deep pass to Watson. No. Ooh. All right.
This is
one more, bro.
Already off the
one
rails.
more.
Off the rails. Goose said the growth of our rookies is awesome. I'm so mad that Dobbs and Wyatt are hurt. Completely agree. Thomas Austin did confirm that stat was 195-0 with a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. So now they lost one. Here we got in the chat. Michael says Quay cannot get off blocks. He gets lost in the wash. Draw plays were successful mostly because of that. I have personally seen that as well. Now, some of the positive notes I had about Quay was him attacking the flat. When they were passing the flat, man, he had the closing speed, the athleticism to get there. And I think he's a pretty decent tackler in the open field. It's just when you get him inside the box, he's not one of those stumpers. He's not one of those guys that's just going to, like your A.J. Hawks. That was what A.J. Hawk was so good at. He would jump in there and go head-to-head with a guard and play jackbacker in that 34-zone blitz and just do the job. Quay's not that kind of linebacker. He's more of a sideline-to-sideline type of guy. But, again, he's young. I'm excited to see what he grows into. But I can kind of understand what he's saying there with Quay. Let's see here. See, Michael also says it's one game for God's sakes. Okay, well, we could have said that last week too. It's just one game, guys.
On a 5. Yeah.
It is what it is, right? Cut Amari and get some bum named Odell is what Thomas Austin. And now we got the guesses coming in. Thomas Austin guesses that Aaron Rodgers' PFF is at 84.3.
That's a good guess.
That's a trash guess.
Let's put that down there real quick.
That's safe. That's just safe.
That's hilarious. That's only. I mean,
I think that's a good guess.
yeah. Goose, look at Goose coming in here. PFF Christian Watson 58.7.
That's going to be one of those, and I'm going to just come on the pod. You'll know when I go on the podcast and just go, I'm not doing PFF grades today. I'm just not feeling like it. It's because Watson had a 60 and Rodgers had a 40, and I'm just going to be like, we don't need to talk about it.
I don't even want to do this.
We'll do something else.
Yeah, Thomas Austin says Christian Watson 64.8, Aaron Jones 66. What? Amari 71.1 special teams grade is what Goose says.
Oh my God! I swear to God, Goose, if that's true, I'm gonna fly to Canada and I'm gonna beat you up.
It's your fault.
It's not your fault, but I'm gonna take it on you.
I'm gonna beat you with a moose.
All right, so we're running out of time here. Before we wrap up,
full of moose hooves.
Corey said, realistically, if we're going to make a run, who can actually rush the passer? Because with Gary out, So tonight, I don't know, man. I don't know what Dallas's offensive line looks like. I don't know how strong
Tyler
it is.
Smith. It's not that great. I mean, I would expect that Preston would have at least showed up, and if Kingsley is going to be that guy, then he should have at least showed up a little bit more tonight, in my opinion. Just saying.
I know the announcers were talking about Jaron Reed getting pressure on Dak on that incompletion where
he got a sack, and then I think he got hurt as well.
Yeah, but also Preston Smith was in on that play though. He was one that hit Dak on that same exact play. So, yeah.
Somebody posted a stat I saw. Obviously, the pass rush plummets when Rashawn isn't on the field, but the other thing that the stat showed is that we blitz a lot more to compensate for that. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. I was just looking at the stats. We had 2 sacks, one from Kenny, and the other one was Adrian Amos. So I think there's going to be.
That makes me so mad that so because we don't have the best guy, we're going to blitz a little bit more. Why don't you just keep the best pass rusher ever and then blitz just a tiny bit and see how that works? You know what I mean? I'm just. Yeah. I think Ryan maybe highlighted this 2 weeks ago or whatever. I think that we were the least blitzing of 5 defenders or 6 defenders or 7 defenders or 4 defenders. We were basically the least blitzing team in the whole league. We run base basically all the time, and that's all we do.
4-man rush, yeah. Good stuff. Jake in the chat here says, and he's quoting Watson evidently after the game. He said, quote, "This is what Rodgers said to Watson, quote, the ball's still coming your way, buddy. Let's get one of these. Let's make a play."
How does he know? How does he know that?
Watson on Rodgers. What Rodgers said to him after the drops, because they had him at the presser, I'm sure, bro.
This is what Watson said.
Watson said at the press conference. So I know
that's what I was saying. As far as it could have been a disaster if they decided, forget this guy. You know what I mean? That's why you got to stick with it, and that's why we should have been. I know he's been injured, but there was still more opportunities. I think there. I mean, how many times do we go back and say, "Hey, there's Watson open. There's Watson open. There's Watson open."
Well, that's what I'm saying is that the game where they pulled him out because he could have had a concussion but didn't, and they knew he didn't.
Frustrating.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
Right.
Because of what happened to Tua, right?
Right.
Well, plus he just had a concussion the game before.
Right. So you
just had a concussion and then,
even though it was a quote unquote chest injury, you basically have to stop yourself from, because that's where we're at now in the league. It's you have to literally stop and give them another game buffer just to make sure that you're not on the line legally. And honestly, I understand that, but as a fan, it's really hard to watch because who knows if this chemistry would have happened a game earlier. And I know, Ryan, we talked about it, or not we, but you on your podcast, what was it? The ratio or the percentage of teams that have made the playoffs going off of a 3-5 record is point. What is it? Point
not good.
0.01 or something like that. Yeah. And the people that even won their first playoff game after that was maybe the Giants in 2013 or something like that. So anyways, long story short, we're almost better off tanking, but we don't tank. So what do you call this point in our season after we just beat the Cowboys going forward? And this is where I actually would love to hear you guys' perspective, because what do we do here? Is this called a tank? Is this called just play it as it lie? What is this?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I mean, I mean, obviously, you're not going to go in. You're not going to go into the locker room and be like, "That was awesome, guys." However, we're kind of
That's
screwed.
right.
So
Everybody pump it down, pump the brakes.
Yeah,
pump the
I'm going to
brakes.
need you guys to just relax because we were supposed to lose this game. Rogers, what the heck? Watson, you couldn't have dropped one more. You freaking jag off. Like, why are you doing this to me? So, no, I mean, you don't have a choice. The problem is they were so bad the first part of the season that even if they're perfect or nearly perfect, it's such an uphill climb just to barely limp in. But you don't have a choice. I mean, that's what you're going to do. You're playing good football. You keep playing good football. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So in the chat here, Goose says player of the game, Jones, with honorable mention to Watson. Mike Lane in the chat says, I'm trying to kill the buzz here. Says once again through early offense and special teams blunders are the reason the Pack almost lost this game. Very true. Very true.
It's true.
We got Corey in the chats predicting that Aaron Rodgers has a 92.5 PFF grade. Then Michael says, which player had the lowest PFF grade? I know who mine is.
I know who yours is too.
Who's that?
Mine, I would say Savage. But then again, I didn't watch him too much. But there was a couple times that I noticed, oh, there's a big play. Well, looky there. Number 26 is chasing after this guy. So what do you guys think? What do you think will be the lowest, since we're just going to drag everybody down here at the end of the show?
Yeah, well, let's just
Jacob, what's your lowest, Jacob?
I mean, it's got to be either Savage or God, maybe one of the interior defensive linemen. I mean, I just somewhere in there, like one of those random things you don't see coming. One of the guys you see there's a blaring beacon light, and then one of those guys you just don't see. I'd say like Savage, and then like randomly like Lowry or something like that, you know. Yeah,
gotcha. What do you think,
yeah,
Ryan?
I'm looking at the fact that the run defense really struggled, and thinking that somebody in there is probably going to get highlighted. It's probably not Kenny because he had the sack. I know Jaron Reed kind of flashed a little bit, so
Jaron Reed had a sack too.
Maybe like Dean Lowry or something like that. Maybe even Quay, to be honest. I don't know that he really blew it up. And if he really was just getting blown up on all those run plays, it might be like a 24 overall type of game for him. I don't know.
Got it.
Quay seemed like he was right there, but he's always right there. You know what I mean? It's like every linebacker that we always love. He's so good. He's so fast. He tackles him right after he makes the first down. He's so good.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, for sure. All right, as we get ready to wrap up here, guys, we're going to do something real quick. Let's just go to Twitter, and let's watch these plays one more time. Y'all good with that?
Let's watch them. Yes, absolutely. Let's get pumped.
Let's watch it like 9 times.
Let's go.
See if it'll
Let's
load
go.
up here.
On the fake, Rodgers lets it fly. Has Watson.
That's what's up.
He's got it on his feet, and he's in for the touchdown.
Look at this backflip, looking like me getting a cookie in the middle of the night.
That might be the biggest catch of this young receiver's career.
Oh yeah,
On
it
the
is.
fake, Rodgers lets it fly. Has
I think-
Watson. He's got it.
Sorry.
They can find a way to get Jones out.
It's number 2.
Rodgers steps up, going deep, has a man. It's caught. Watson is in. Touchdown, Green Bay.
Oh,
On
let's
the 4th
go.
and 7.
Love it. Hey, just for the record, watch Rogers right here, guys. Watch Rogers.
Can find a way to get Jones out.
Watch this.
Rodgers steps
Yeah,
up,
you kidding me?
going deep, has a man. It's caught. Watson is in.
I'm sorry. I just gotta do it. Sorry. It's just the way I am. Again, so why did I mention that? Thomas Austin in the chat said, don't let this game make you forget to fire Goody and trade Rodgers. Okay? Don't let that. Don't ever forget that, guys. All right, last one we're getting out. Michael says, I don't
And he
think
tipped
Kenny
his
Clark
hat
played
like
very
this.
well. That was going to be one that I thought had a low grade. We've seen it, Ryan. Like Kenny Clark's PFF grade is just sunk out of sight, right?
Yeah.
And mainly because of run defense. I mean, you playing nose or playing that 3 tech when you're in a wide 9, like that's probably who was getting gashed on the draws somewhat. So I could kind of see that. But as we get out of here, we're at the 1 hour and 8 minute mark. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the chat for sure. Also on Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. Can't thank you guys enough too, Ryan and Jacob. But let's get some parting thoughts, man. Ryan, what are you thinking here, dude? Coming away from this game, who do we got next? I'm trying to even think.
Tennessee.
Titans.
Woo! Woo! Lord have mercy.
Thursday night, bro. We're playing.
Yeah, that's right. We got
week.
Thursday.
Short week. All right.
Short week.
And they won today against the Broncos, I believe.
We're gonna win this game, boys. We're gonna win this game.
Hey, you never know. What are you thinking, Ryan? Coming out of here, man. Parting thoughts.
I know that today felt really good. I didn't realize how bad I needed this until it happened. It just was like.
Don't get negative, Ryan.
Well, no. Okay. I'm going to say this as positive as I can. The only question I have is, can we do this consistently, right? They've had this talent all year, right? Can you do this next week? Can Rodgers continue to play at that level? Can Watson play at that? Watkins, is he going to continue to do that all year with the back shoulder throws and all that, or is he going to start running the wrong direction? Right? I mean, we saw 2 weeks ago Aaron Jones had like 7 yards a carry, and we said, yeah, but that's not going to happen every week. The next week he runs for like 2 yards per carry, and we lose the game.
Yep.
So, can we do this every week, or are we just going to go right back into the tank? Is the only real question that I have going forward. But this was awesome. I had a lot of fun. I'm super pumped for Christian Watson. And I look forward to enjoying a lot more of this the rest of the year.
Good stuff. Jacob?
Yeah, man, I echo that. Super excited to see Christian Watson. Krista Watson, I apologize. Your son is a glittering gold god. He is the best thing that's ever happened to the Green Bay Packers. He is the
what
best
did you
thing
say?
ever.
He said he's a pillar of the
I
community.
just said that he maybe needs to put some weight on himself. I'm just saying. That's all I said.
You were like the biggest Watson fan of the group. Why did you go?
I am the biggest.
I don't get it.
Watson.
Now
I was
you're
the biggest Watson
apologizing.
fan of all times. No, I'm just saying I shouldn't have. Anyways, long story short, I love him. Gonna buy a jersey. Don't hate me. You want to go for a coffee? Let me know. Let's go.
All right, take it easy.
Oh my God, we got a man shooting his shot live on the air. All right, here we go. So Jacob said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Wayne Gretzky / Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
All right, so looking ahead, guys, we're getting out of here. Looking ahead, Thursday night, we got the Titans at Lambeau, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. The high that day is 29. The low that night is 18 degrees. So Aaron Rodgers will have the turtleneck out in force. And there's 21% chance of precipitation. So we might see a little flurry there at Lambeau Thursday night. And hey, look, here's the deal. I feel like we're playing with the house's money. Everybody wrote the Packers off. I said that today. Like, there was nobody expecting them to beat the Cowboys. Let's just go out and have fun, try to thump some heads and see what happens, right? And when it comes to the point, if it does, that, okay, we're eliminated from playoff contention, let's make sure we evaluate the roster enough to get into the offseason and make the adjustments we need to make and gear up for a run, get healthy and all that good stuff. So I personally think 12 is going to be back next year. That's me. If he does retire, guess what, guys? We're going to have some extra cap room. We're going to be able to see what we got in Love. Either way, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. But it was just nice to see them come out here and put the Cowboys in check, guys. A 6-2 team, like, come on. I'm all about it.
4 times now consecutively.
What's that?
We beat them the last 4 times consecutively. That's pretty impressive.
That's so
That's
awesome.
nice. And I kind of feel like we own the Titans, too, here of lately. Seems like they beat them at Lambeau in the snow a couple years ago,
Yes,
3 years
we
ago,
did.
something like that.
Yep.
That's what Jake was saying. A.J. Dillon game incoming.
That's
That was
right.
the A.J. Dillon game last time.
Oh, it was. It was kind of the coming out party, wasn't
It
it?
was.
Here's the thing. What is it?
Yeah.
Thomas is calling you out, bro.
Oh, Lord, let me go to the chat here. See, y'all going to make me go over on time. Put some respect on my name. You got to say it like Birdman, too. Somebody give me the Birdman. Whoa, what is it? I don't know if I did that right or not. But anyway, we're out of here, guys. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys always make the post-game show that much more enjoyable. Appreciate everybody on Twitter, on YouTube. Ryan, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Thank you for your time. Jacob, thank you for your time, buddy. I know it's been a rough day, but, hey, we came away with a dub. So
I got
that
robbed
being said,
today.
for those of you listening on the pod, hope y'all have a great Monday. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.
Inches to go. Defeater. 17-14. Cowboys out in front. Star begins the count. Takes the snap.
Middle risk. Pass it. Big B.J. Raji for the touchdown. Pump fake. Wallace picked off. Nick Collins. Nick Collins on the return inside the 10. Leaps for the touchdown.